So, howdy y'all, my name is Bo, got audio over here as well, and thanks to everybody who's new, who's joining us today. We've got a very awesome, fun event scheduled, a big interview and giveaway all centered around Synth Riders, and we'll get into the details in just a moment, but before we move on, I'll let you know that I'll be on screen with a few of our other people we have here. Audie's going to be in chat, so if you have any questions, she'll be down there in chat with you as well. And this has been a very big thanks, Sergoff. Yes, definitely the blue hair is a brand new change as well. But this has been a big collaborative effort. So I want to introduce a friend of ours and a big partner who's helped us make this whole thing happen entirely. So let me actually introduce AtomBombBody. It's right over there. You want to say hi?
Hi. Hey guys. Yeah, I'm AtomBombBody. I do a lot of VR, mostly on YouTube lately, a lot of VR how-to live stream tutorials, because it's, especially if you're getting started, it's kind of overwhelming and difficult. So I try to ease that pain, at least, because I know the struggle, I've been there. But I also occasionally still do VR streams, and I absolutely am so glad to be working with you guys on this. And I'm so glad that you approached to have me be a part of this project, because I love interviewing people. I love getting to know people. I'm super nosy too, so it was perfect.
No, definitely. Well, and so Synth Riders recently released an excellent DLC pack. They had the Adrenaline pack, which featured Offspring, and had a new experience that came out with it, and it was really a blast. And I really wanted to be able to reach out and have an opportunity to talk to the team today and kind of get more of a history of where Synth Riders been, what was the start with Synth Riders, and where is it going into the future. This has definitely been a really fun game and experience throughout it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our guests. We have Aben, the creator, as well as Wirrel, who is the community manager as well as the product manager for Synth Riders. Aben, do you want to start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, so Aben, I'm Aben. My real name is Abraham, and yes, I'm the creative director behind Synth Riders and partnered as well at Cluj Interactive. And I've been, we're a small team, and I've been wearing so many hats during the Synth Riders process, like making trailers, game design, marketing, different stuff. But it's been amazing, super fun.
Awesome. Thanks. Wirrel, how about you? You want to tell us a little bit about you and your adventure here?
Sure. I first played Synth Riders, and I know this date because I actually streamed it. It was December 2018, just like 2 days after Christmas. I bought it for myself as a Christmas present because I'm an 80s tragic, like total 80s tragic, and I saw what this was, and I love rhythm games. I was like, yes, please, I want this game. So I picked this game up and I played it, and I went, this is sensational. I really love this game. But when I first played it, there was a couple of things that happened that I went, I'd like to do something a bit different. It was the special sections. When you failed a special section, it was a permanent fail. Like you had to wait for the end of the special section to be able to play again. And I was like, this is no fun. I'm sitting here and I failed the special section and I want to keep playing. So I reached out to Aben, because I think we did it through, I can't, there was some promotion around the Live Discord, and we had the ability to be able to contact him. So I reached out to Aben and said, absolutely love this game. I've just got this one little nitpick, and then I've been nitpicking ever since, pretty much. He was super approachable. The whole team at Cluj. He when he says wearing many hats, he's not joking. Synth Riders was a 2-person game that was originally 2 people, and Aben was like creative director, and he was doing everything visual, but he was also doing community. He was getting the word out there, and he was always super approachable to everybody. And like when I came in with feedback, he's just like, "Yep, give me more," and yeah, ever since then. So,
match made in heaven.
Yeah, we've been in sort of constant contact since then. And then I remember when I got a first custom song that came fairly early on, and then I got added to the beta testers group. And then one day there was like a post, because with Aben, course, English is not his first language. Spanish is his first language. And there's always like, he wanted me to read something for him and say, what do you think about this? Because he knows I'm wordy. No kidding. So he wanted me to read this document for him, and I read it and I proofread it and made a few editorial changes. And then that's really when I first started working for him, was him asking me to read stuff and me writing stuff. And then I started writing blog posts, marketing material, release notes, these sorts of things, just helping to make it a bit more friendly. And then at the same time, I got involved in the Synth Riders community, the mod community, because that kind of started around the same time. And we went from there. It was really kind of cool. So it was just one of those things. What's going on here? My controller's gone to sleep. My reality is broken. And then I started doing QA on maps. Just I'm able to go here and fix reality. I need to have one of these.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Reality. There we go. When the controllers go to sleep, reality breaks.
Oh yeah, it has a tendency of doing that. I've seen that before. Yeah.
Doing that? No, I just thought I'd have that near me. I started doing QA around the Fix It pack when I was working with Mapper What the Shark. We were working on that pack of songs, and then I went through QA, and then after doing QA, I started COVID. I began working sort of this whole transition. It's been a very gradual addition to the team from there. So in COVID time, I started working part-time behind the scenes doing like some more support work and more community management stuff, and then went full-time sort of just after January this year. So now I'm full-time.
That's so cool. Like I find that pretty inspirational, because I feel like, sorry, we're already going on a not tangent necessarily, but like diverting to multiple topics. I don't mind. I get distracted super easily, but I can really appreciate that, because I think a lot of people, especially gamers who are passionate about a certain game, or people who want to get into the gaming industry, for example, they assume that, oh, the only way I can do this is if I like make games, or have a million views on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or whatever. But I don't know. See, you did it just because you were super passionate about the game, and then now look at you. You're a part. You're a part of the team that makes it all happen. So I'd love that. When I first found out that about you, I was like, yeah. And I'm glad you went over all that.
It's like the boiling a frog. It's like I was boiled a couple of years ago. I started getting boiled, and now I'm finally boiled, and I've not been aware of that process. It's been such a gradual transition from being a player to being an active community member to being really involved in the community. Like I'm the first person to put my hand up and go, yep, I can do it. And that's really what you've got to do if you want to make this transition. Don't wait for someone to offer you stuff. Put your hand up and offer. Because especially indies do not have the budgets that big studios do have. They appreciate every little thing that you do, and you make an absolute difference. Every person that you tell about a game, every person that you help get started in a game makes a massive difference to these indies, and it's so important. So yeah, community is number one. It's absolutely don't understand.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great, and that actually really segues into talking about kind of where it's gone. Aben, do you want to kind of give us a history of Synth Riders? Where did Synth Riders start? Where did the idea come from?
It was pretty much like I think the planets aligned at that time. It was a combination of different things. I was running a community on Instagram about retrowave music and retrowave and synthwave music and retrowave and cyberpunk aesthetic called retrowave VR, and that's how I started. And one of the things that I used to do with the artists is like combine synthwave artists with visual artists, and they create like a custom content for retrowave VR, and that was super successful at that time. At the same time, I was playing Thumper, which was one of my favorite games, VR games. A while ago, and I was pretty into synthwave music and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, let me. I was also actively doing some personal VR projects, and pretty much I combine all the things. Like I want to try to do a rhythm game with the music that I like and the style that I like as well.
So cool. So is the idea for the whole synthwave theme then just kind of based on your love for that style of music? Because
Yes.
I love it. I'm not usually, I wasn't a fan, honestly, until I played Synth Riders.
Yeah, and I was actually one of the artists of my own community that also collaborate with other other musicians, which was kind of nice. So bring the artists that I used to feature in Synth Riders to the game was something amazing.
I love that so much. So out of curiosity then, how has the game has it changed from its original plan or vision or design, or is this kind of something that you wanted to do, you set out to do it, and bam, now we've got Synth Riders?
It's been changing a lot because Synth Riders was supposed to be like a synthwave experience with the music pack that we released at the time, but I think the people love it, and we start getting a lot of feedback from our players. The community started on all this stuff, so it grows really fast, and I mean, we needed to bring content, and people were asking for other genres of music as well, and I think at the time when we were bringing some music, we were like tweaking the mechanics and adding like new modes and all that stuff that make the game to make the game like more and more fun and complex, I would say.
That makes sense. So you mentioned in the beginning that Synth Riders started off with basically just 2 people, pretty much. How, like, what's the staffing like now? How many people are, I guess, officially on the Synth Riders team? I know you have a couple of content creators who might kind of go in both, but what are the numbers nowadays? You guys have grown so much.
I think the whole team is around 10 to 15. So we have actively working on development that are 2 to 3 developers. I mean, we switch in between projects. We have more developers, but we are also working in other projects that we switch them depending on what we need for some specific stuff. And a couple of 3D graphic designers. My partners and myself, Pavel, which is our marketing director, a fantastic team of mappers with different personalities and different styles. Wirrel, that she worked with me like pretty close with everything. I mean, you just did not take like any drastic decision before we get into the details and test and try everything.
So as far as how your team assembled and came together, it sounded like Wirrel just kind of came into it as far as adding suggestions and bringing them in. But for a team like the mappers and the other part of the community that are now a part of Synth Riders, where did you find them, or did they come to find you? How did that work?
Most of them come from the community. The Synth Riders community. Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess it makes sense because you've got to be passionate about the company you work for and know something about it, instead of like, it just saves you that much work when you hire them on for having to explain the vision and hope that everybody's on board. But I love that so much. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Am I missing someone, Wirrel?
World of Whirlwind.
It's also to think about the Synth Riders is like a product team, and it's part of a larger team. So Kluge is actually larger, and I didn't really have this appreciation until I sort of came more inside the gate. So Kluge's background has been making websites and working like as a UI UX partner with other companies doing really interesting things. So there's actually a much broader team that are maybe 20, 25 people, not including
Okay.
a lot of other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So it's a much broader team, and so we're able to actually draw from that team as we need to. So there's designers who work on particular projects in one side that can be drawn into work on particular things for Synth Riders. So if we need something on a website or an API, we can pull people from that side to come and work on small piecemeal projects. So the Kludge itself is probably around about 25, but it shrinks and expands as it needs to. So we have a lot of freelancers.
That's really neat. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great that you guys can pull that together. So,
So I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
No,
I was community. It's just one of those things. Community was the natural place to grab people from, because you get to know people in community. You get to spend time with them. You get to know whether or not their ethos, what drives them, whether that matches what you're looking for as well. So Synth Riders has a spirit about it, and most of the people who've made that sort of transition from community to helping inside have given it themselves freely, and that's something that's really is a part of that Kludge spirit. Like, everybody gives really generously with their time, and I don't know whether it's I don't know if it's a Latin American influence, Aben. I don't know how it happens, but it's just something that has infected the game from day one. This generosity of spirit, and it's just come through into the community. So yeah, it just makes people a natural fit.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah.
This is kind of a random curiosity question, but is Kludge, is that mean something in a different language, or is that it's just Kludge? I've always been curious about that.
So do you want to explain that, Aben, or do you want me to?
Go for it.
I'll do my best. So the CEO of Kludge is Arturo Perez, and he used to run a music magazine called Kludge Magazine. KLDG, Kludge Magazine. And Kludge grew out of that. So before that, Kludge was like I want to say a music copying group. Like, they used to make music and share it. It was like a music sharing ring. So Kludge grew from the Kludge Magazine grew from that group, and then that transitioned from being a magazine to being a design and UI company when Aben met R2. And they connected together and made Kludge. They dropped the D. They kept the ethos. So the idea of Kludge being like a clever hack, or like when you kludge something together, it's just you MacGyver it in a lot of ways. So a kludge can be a MacGyver solution, an abstract, a left of field solution. So they kept that spirit as it came through.
Oh, cool! Now I know. I've always been curious.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes. Go ahead.
And so that explains why music is so important too. You've got Aben who was doing DJing. Aben was a DJ, and then you mix that with someone who runs a music magazine, and you get this beautiful blending together. So yeah, that's why music is so important.
Oh, that's so cool. So now, because of the pandemic, and even before, just a lot of tech companies, a lot of tech startups to start off this way. But is everybody on the Synth Riders team remote? I'm guessing, like all over different parts of the world. Because I know Wirrel, you're in Australia, right? And then Aben, you're in like Florida. So
yeah.
Poland.
Yeah, the Synth Riders team has been every time remotely, because we are all in different places, as Wirrel was saying. I mean, as you were saying, Wirrel is in Australia, Paul is in Poland, and we have people in London, right? Latin America, US, all over the place.
Oh man! So has that? You guys how do you organize meetings?
It can be painful. We got Ecuador. Yeah, we got Ecuador. We got everything. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I guess on the flip side of that, though, because you guys are all remote, pandemic, not really too big of a deal on
no, not at all.
Synth Riders' end, or was it?
That's good.
Not at all. Kludge itself, we've had the core team in California, but most of the developer team has been in Latin America. So we've been working remotely like since day one.
that's so cool. So you guys, we were going back to sort of how it all started, based on music being obviously a huge inspiration for Synth Riders. So obviously, without giving away any major secrets or anything, recently you guys have gotten to work with Muse and The Offspring. How did that come to be? Because especially too, as somebody in VR, to get major players in a VR game like that is huge, because the hope is to also be able to, get more maybe regular desktop gamers, even casual users who maybe they like the bands, to be able to get into VR to play Synth Riders, to listen to their favorite band. Not only listen, but to be able to play, a rhythm game based around their favorite band. So how did you guys get such huge bands? That's so impressive.
It's a tough process. It's a long process as well, with the record labels to get the sync rights, the publishing and all the stuff. Arturo and Cameron, which are one of my partners, they are the one involved with the licensing. And it especially with this kind of band like Offspring, that they are not as active as they were before, so it's hard to reach them and get approved. So it's a process that will take from 2 months to 5 months, depending of the record label and the band, because the band has to approve where the music is going to be. And also negotiation, like different kind of like deals of the percentage or what's the revenue, how we're going to split the revenue, etc. Do you want to add something else, Wirrel?
And now you understand sort of the music magazine background. I think that explains a bit of how that has really helped get get the foot in the door with these artists.
Absolutely. Are there like previous connections that kind of was able to help? Because I was going to say 2 to 5 months. That doesn't sound terrible of a long process compared to, I was thinking like a year to be able to negotiate something, but that's not bad at all.
It's different if you're able to go to someone like Fixit or 99 Lives and say, hello, we'd like a bunch of songs. And they go, yep. And that's it, job done, because they own all the rights. But for someone like Offspring, for example, every single band member has to agree.
Oh, wow.
And they're not, that's how these things work. And so if you can't find, and when we did that pack, you think of how many bands are in that pack, how many different bands are in that pack, and how many members in each band. That's why this becomes complicated. If one person in the band is not contactable during COVID for whatever reason, that puts a nix on that particular song. So you often start with like a large list of songs that are candidates, and you have this back and forth of playlists that goes on, and you try and work out what you can get. And sometimes it's it'd be, you've got to just get everybody. Everybody has to be involved. And it really depends on the label. Depends on the artists, what arrangement they have with their labels. Like it's so much more complicated.
Sounds like that's
crazy. Just crazy.
There's so many people that has to sign off the whole thing, which doesn't make the process.
Yeah. Right. And I imagine with the people requesting like, oh, can you guys just get X band? It's not like you're like, hey, I'll send them an email and then we'll see what happens. Sure, no problem. There's a lot of definitely a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of negotiating and signing off to be had for sure. I imagine.
Yeah, and you think about music that's got samples in it. Like as soon as you start touching anything with samples, every sample's got to be cleared as well. And that's why you just have to be so careful. So when there's particular genres that get missed, you have to think about what is it that's involved in clearing that piece of music. Like if I pick something like Your Frontier Psychiatrist by the Avalanches is one of my favorite tracks. It's a great song, and I always love that song. But it is just wall to wall samples, and you think to yourself, how on earth does someone go to get clearance for that? And you've got to clear each sample for the use for which it's being given. So it might be cleared for that record for being reproduced in the recording context, but it's not cleared for use in a VR game as part of a game soundtrack. So it's a completely different use.
So it sounds like there's a lot of potential roadblocks that you guys can run into as far as getting this.
Yep.
So do you like try to like set up or plan for multiple DLCs or multiple different types of songs at once, and then just kind of whatever comes to you kind of start with first?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You never know what's going to actually land or not, I suppose. So that's a pretty solid strategy. But
tricky. And you think we have between 6 to 8 weeks lead time to do the mapping before. So that's before we even start. We take a long time to do mapping because we want to get it as right as we possibly can. And then there's all the pieces that go with it. So you think, before a launch, you need to be able to organize filming of trailers and so on. So you have to have different pieces of that puzzle to go along the road. So it's not just a case of, well, sit down, map a master in 40 minutes and job done.
Just put it in the auto thing and it just does it. Yeah. Well, especially when it comes to go ahead.
No, I was just going to say for something like experiences like you're putting these mappings together, but for the experiences like the one for Muse and for the last one, the Offspring. Yeah, how long does it take to put that experience together beyond just the mapping of the notes there?
It all depends. I mean, we usually start with mood boarding with the design team, like putting some ideas together of things that we like. We take like visual reference from live shows of the band or graphic asset that we find. With algorithm, it wasn't too complex because they had like a clear aesthetic that they use for concerts that really gave us a lot of inspiration. I think, as far as I remember, with that experience, we did it in around 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
Offspring was a little bit complicated because they don't have too many graphic assets that we can actually like point out like, okay, is there something beyond the schools that we can actually use? So the schools on fire. So it wasn't too many things that we can use, and we started like doing more like a combination in between things that are like defined things that define the band, and combined with some abstract stuff that we create, and we made that combination. But also Offspring was one of the bands that I used to listen a lot when I was young, and I used to skate a lot with Offspring. So we bring some of that as well. Like, okay, well, what if we put some skeleton with skateboards? So it's that combination. So at that time, I mean, during that process, you come up with different ideas. So we don't have usually we don't have like a straight process to make this happen. What we usually do is like we started with some clips of some part of the songs that we find more easy to create some sort of like a mini clips, and then we start from there and start like matching other stuff. Like, okay, we can do something like this with this guitar riff. That will fit with the skeletons and the skulls and the fire and all the stuff, and it will match pretty good all together. But it's very artistic, I will say. It's not like it's like you start like drawing stuff. Some things we put in the trash. So many things that we don't use during the process. But at the end, it's that. I mean, you have to find that balance in between the whole thing, and you start like with like like an introduction, and then you have like a nostalgic moment, and then something more, let's say, happy, and end up with a message. So we're trying to put some at the end as just like a little thing at the end of the experience to
The balloon at the end of like the Offspring, and then there was like the wording at the end of Muse. Those were nice little finishing touches. I really liked those. It's like, oh man, it's so cool.
Yeah. I loved the balloon at the end because it was like you finish the experience and then I just my eyes just go straight up. It was just following it all the way. But yeah, I love it. Just nice little touches like that.
nice.
Do the map designs have to be signed off by? Again, I don't know the specifics, and you don't have to go into detail about whoever you coordinate these things with on the band side. But once you have the experience, kind of maybe rough drafts, do you have to send them off for approval on the band side before you can actually make it final, or like how much creative liberty are you allowed to have? I suppose
We have plenty of liberty. There is with the two experience that we already have, we send it to the band after we finish, and they love it. But there's a couple of experience that we like to work more closely with the artist.
well, I know Muse. There was that tweet that you guys had posted where Muse actually got to try their own experience in Synth Riders, and I was like, I don't know, I don't even work for or with you guys, but that was just so exciting. I could only imagine how like hyped you guys were about that. It's like, look, see.
That was amazing.
If you go ahead, Wirrel.
So as I say, and when it comes to every artist is different to how much they want to be involved, and the mapping process is done separately to the experiences in the first instance. So quite often the experience will start on its own, and the map will go on its own, and then we'll bring them together. Because we always want to make sure that a map can work outside of an experience as well as inside of an experience, because not everybody can play the experiences. Like if you're very light sensitive, they may not work for you. We want to make sure that and the experience, like the songs need to play in spin mode and all these things where experiences just don't work. So we need to make sure that they do work outside. And like just a recommendation, if anyone hasn't played the algorithm experience in 360 plus spin, I'm just saying, it's awesome.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Really, really good. You need to play it 360 plus spin. Even like the normal difficulty map is sensational in spin. The number of new spinners we've introduced to that. So yeah, each map is done separately, and then they converge, and then we work out how the key moments in the experience key into the key moments in the map as we go through. So yeah, they kind of start off, and then you chuck them in the middle. It's kind of cool. But yeah, different artists have different level of involvement too. I think like some will give you they want to be hands on, and others will be like we want to see what you do. Yeah.
So obviously you don't have to.
I even
go ahead,
understand how much work is involved too. Like it is hand by hand animated, frame by frame animation for a lot of the stuff. Like it's amazing. And like the skater on the skateboard, we draw from other people in our team as well. So in that instance, is that right, Aben? Was that Fasty who did that animation? So Fasty's one of our OST mappers, but he also happens to be an animator by trade. It's one of his jobs. Is an animator, and he's very, very proficient in things like Blender. And so he did the animation path of the skating skull, the skeleton going down the half pipe. So it's really nice where other people in our team can bring something to the experience as well. Yeah. It's nice.
Fast did one of them, and Carlos did the other skater.
So Gruntled in chat is asking about the 360 spin mode. Is for that song, does the experience work in the spin mode as well?
Experiences don't work in spin mode. That's what I meant by the map has to work outside of the experience.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
We can't just let the experience define how the map behaves, because you need to be able to spin the map, and if you need to be able to spin the map, you need to be able to play it in all the other different ways that you can play. But I'm just saying that the 360 plus on algorithm, it's really good. It's a great spin. Really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Goes very high.
Is there any potential future or any thought to doing an experience that does work with a 360 mode?
Aben would have to answer that. I would say for me, it would limit who can play that experience. I would imagine that 180 would probably be as much as you might do, but just purely because you want to make sure that as many people as possible can have the experience for the effort that you put into it, and not everybody has that ability to spin around on the spot.
What's the biggest constraint that you're seeing with the experience with spinning? Is it usually people are having more issues with having the space to be able to work with, or is it more of like those who are having VR sickness?
I think it's a space, pretty much.
Space
as far as that's a common comment.
Okay.
Yeah. Space accessibility. You think it's for some people it just really isn't feasible to spin in a chair. When you're talking about some headsets that are camera tracked, like we're launching VR, for example. PSVR, turning around on a circle that doesn't work so well for a front track camera headset. So yeah, 180 is probably where we would top that off. But it doesn't mean that because with Synth Riders, the way we tend to do things is we have the running joke, which is ¿por qué no los dos? Why not have both? And the running joke. So you never know. It might be that you have a 180 experience and a 360 experience that are different. That's always been the beautiful thing about the way we approach problems like this, is we go, well, we could do something for everybody, embrace everything. So yeah, I could see that too.
Right. And I understand that you can only have so much to be able to move to the next thing. You can't do everything all at once, though. But as far as kind of what's new and what's coming up, what's something you guys are looking forward to with a new update with Synth Riders?
Oh, well, definitely there's more experiences coming this year. We're also redesigning all the stages, starting with the spin stage and a new spin stage that we are working. And we have a bunch of other new stuff that I don't want to spoil, because I want to get our players to get surprised.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have seen on your Twitter that just psychedelic mushroom GIF, I think, and I was like, what the heck is that? That I'm sure that ties into whatever you guys are working on, but I was trying to think, is it going to be 70s or
quite a teaser?
It's not infected mushroom.
Okay. I saw that question come up, if it was infected mushrooms. Yeah.
It's not.
But it's I'm pretty excited with this experience. I mean, the one that it's coming.
Can't wait.
Go ahead.
You don't have to, obviously, if certain bands are already in the works, but if you could have a dream band or singer or whoever, who would be, I guess for both of you, what would be your dream band or singer artist to work with if you could?
Oh God.
That's a tough question.
What a question.
Spice Girls. No, I'm just kidding. That would it'd be fun, but it wouldn't really fit.
If I had to pick an artist, I think there's one artist, and I would want them to be heavily involved in an experience. It would be Thomas Dolby. Now, like I said, I'm an 80s tragic, and Thomas Dolby is an artist that I love. Nobody knows who he is. The only song they ever know of his is a song called She Blinded Me with Science, with the guy going, science, in it. That's the song everybody knows of his. But he's a professor of music. He teaches in the US. He's English born. But he's been really heavily involved in VR, and he ran a company called Beatnik that they were involved in making polyphonic ringtones for mobile phones really early on. He's always been a pioneer of music and technology coming together. He's done concerts in VR ages ago. So I would love to see. He did a thing called The Gate to the Mind's Eye, where he did an audio soundtrack to a bunch of computer generated visuals in I want to say 90s, really early, I think Silicon Graphics, early stuff, early Pixar, that era where computer generated graphics were first coming. And he scored the whole thing. And that's what he teaches. He teaches scoring for digital media. That's what he teaches as a topic, as a professor. So I would love a Thomas Dolby experience where Thomas actually scored for an experience. Like, get the visuals done first, as crazy as Aben wants. Some of Aben's chromatic mask stuff from from Tilt Brush, just as mad as Aben wants it, and have Thomas score it. I would just say, "Yep, mic drop. I'm gone. I'm done."
Oh my god. Yeah, I think for me, I will die to make if I can make an experience with the song Thriller from Michael Jackson.
Oh
But
my
that-
gosh.
Ooh,
That would be fun.
yeah, wow. That would probably be really complicated licensing, but that'd be so cool.
Oh, for sure.
Or the Beatles. Go for the Beatles next. Just go for broke, right?
Right.
We're gonna go to those legs.
I think I've got more chance than you have, Aben.
Right.
Were there certain moments then, since you guys seem to have a lot of fun working with different music companies, everybody seems to get along really well, but were there certain instances during your careers that you were just like, wow, I can't believe I make money doing this. I get to make a living doing what I love. I love my job. Like, what were any instances that you can think of that kind of fit that bill, I suppose?
Aben, you go first.
As a designer, I will say, like, I always try to if something can be motivated, it means like I'm gonna put my heart in order to make something happen, and that's pretty much my driver. Like everything that has a little piece of creativity or design involved, if I like the concept, I will go for it.
Yeah. And definitely, I think testing. I have that moment almost every pack. Like when we get to the end of every pack and we're doing the final playthroughs, I kind of go, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like I had that last pack, the Electro Swing pack. I did something fun for the OSC for the final playthroughs. For a lot of them, I got dressed up in my flapper outfit and I posted the playthrough videos as cosplay. It was so good, and that was one of those moments where I got to the end of that pack and I went, "This is such fun." But I think spin mode, when we were doing the testing and the initial stuff for spin mode, that was when I went, "This is such a cool job." Like I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that moment as well. It was
That was
super
so
fun.
good. Yeah,
That was
because
super fun.
Like, I even had this concept, and it was executed by Justin, our dev team. We got it into the game. I had this panel where I could change all the sliders and tweak the way the mode behaved, and it was insane. The first spin mode was crazy, and so we've had the running joke of how much I love Terra. It comes from the initial spin mode, which was so fast. Fast and so mad. But yeah, just being able to work on refining those projects and coming out the other end of revenge time, exactly, Kite. The spin mode was one of those moments where I went, this is really, really cool to be able to be part of something that's super unique, really unusual, and then being able to open that up to our beta group and then see that roll out live was just brilliant. It was just such a good fun thing.
Oh, I loved it so much.
Should activate
It's a
the
world.
spin mode. Gosh, no.
I know that you, I assume it's you who probably works, mostly, not really works per se, but works alongside the modding community, which for Synth Riders is pretty alive. Since we're talking about Spice Girls, Michael Jackson, like music that you wouldn't be able to probably get licensing to very easily. So how do you balance supporting the mappers, I suppose, with songs that aren't necessarily officially supported, or finding that balance between, like, we want people to be able to play their own songs, but we also want to stay in the clear when it comes to legal issues, especially, I guess on Twitch with all the DMCA stuff lately and all that fun. Well, DMCA been around, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah, it's tricky, and that's probably the big downside of having made that the frog boiling transition from community being really heavily involved in modding community to having the more official role. And these days I have to be a lot more careful about where I am when I say things and what hat I wear. I definitely wear hats, so when I'm involved in different parts. And we've always from the beginning had the two Discords side by side. We have the official Discord and we have the modding community Discord, and we're very, very strict on the official Discord that we will discuss what's supported by the game, which is custom songs that you for your own use. The problems only happen when they're shared. So we can discuss creation of songs, editing songs, everything that you do for yourself. But the moment you start to cross that line, it's like, bang, we have to go the other way. And there's a place and a time to discuss other things. So we keep that very, 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 very separate. And yeah, I do. I have a special emote for it, which is a squirrel with a police whistle for being the fun police. But it's one of those things that we do have to tread that line very carefully. And the modding community is so much more than just custom songs. I need to make that super, super clear. Because our game doesn't just support custom songs, it supports custom stages, it supports avatars, it supports playlists, it runs the online leaderboards and ranking stuff for people who are interested in, seeing how they fare as a player. All that stuff is handled through the mod community. It's so much more than just custom songs. And I think it's really it does a bit of a disservice to just focus on one thing, because there's actually so much more that's out there. So the mappers and the content creators are amazing. So these days I tend to sit back a little bit and let the rest. I take sort of more of a moderator role, looking at behavior and focusing inside of the Discord, and not so much about the other side. But so I'm sort of on there to help people with questions and support the game within the boundaries, and I can handball things in the other direction if I need to for further comment. But the community is amazing. They really sort of step up and help everybody who comes in with questions, and everybody who wants to learn how to map, and they look after that for us. So it's just making sure that you have those boundaries in place, and you only cross over those boundaries when you're wearing that other hat. And you be very, 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 very distinct and clear about that.
That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like it's a very common theme in a lot of companies where, well, I guess that's how anyone starts off, right? First, you've got your game devs, but then you may also be community manager for a while, but you might also be managing this and this until you get the budgeting to be able to hire different roles for that. But I don't know. I can appreciate that about you guys as well, because even if you do end up hiring someone for a specific position, that means that you've been in their shoes, so you know how difficult certain things can be. But I don't know. I feel like, especially with a lot of indie devs, it's such a common thing for I'm giving a random example. I make the maps, but I'm also the community manager, and then I'm this, and I'm this, and I just major props to you guys. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it helps having having someone who's been a streamer and doing what I do as well, because I kind of fly the flag for Twitch integration and those sorts of things. Like been interesting having discussion with people about talking about copyright and DMCA's. One of the early things that I did when I came inside was said we really do need to update this and be really clear about what's cleared and what isn't. And I started asking lots of questions and making sure that we're a lot more open with content creators using Synth Riders, what they can and can't monetize. It's really important for us to be super clear with that, and then to look at ways that we can support content creators being able to monetize more going forward too. So yeah, definitely we're looking at that side of things too. Because it's complicated. It's always complicated.
Right. Especially when it comes to music, but either with music or with experiences, just developing the various maps for the games, what were there any roadblocks or hurdles that you guys had during the development of Synth Riders that, is just once you overcame them, you're like, you know what, we did this, we did the thing. So what roadblocks were there? Words are hard. Challenges you faced. There we go. Challenges you faced when creating Synth Riders, because that's something that makes sense. Too much energy drink. Sorry.
That's a good one.
Oh my god, there are a lot of them. I mean, I'm not a developer but I know the developers struggle also with a bunch of stuff every day. But we always figure that out. What's the best way to handle it? But from the design side, there's always like a limitation, especially for VR, because you can't go crazy with aesthetic. Especially for Quest. So we need to every time when we are creating something new, we need to take in consideration like how many vertices has all the pieces that we are putting in the stage, and do several testing and all the stuff. So sometimes it's hard. I mean, you get into into a loop, like you don't know exactly what is happening and where is there's a memory problem with some pieces, so we need to drop the quality for some things, or replace it for other ones. Yeah, it's a whole process.
Is it hard to make a multi-game platform for them? Because you mentioned, well, because it's like inside-out tracking, like what we have on the Quest 2, but then there's also your PC VR, which is, you've got your lighthouses. I know probably the end goal for a lot of games, obviously, is to have your game out on as many platforms as possible, but are there any differences, changes you have to make in order to make it work and still feel like Synth Riders, but for the Quest, for example, since that's currently one of the most popular headsets?
Yeah, I mean, Synth Riders, it started with the PC version that has a lot of other the aesthetic is more rich in the PC version, and we have to drop it when we release it for the Quest, and it's such a different, because you're coming from a super high-end computer, and you have to actually make it work for a mobile, which is not the case for most of the let's say desktop games, that you have a desktop game but you also want to port it for PlayStation, which is kind of similar, or Xbox. So mobile is a completely different thing, and it make it very challenging. So, but nowadays we're actually thinking all the way around. So we started with the Quest, thinking of what's the limitation of the Quest, and we build everything around that.
Oh man, I can't. Yeah, that's interesting that you say that is similar to PlayStation, because then I don't have any development experience, so I'm not gonna be able to have any input on that. But it gives you a lot of appreciation for when you do see games that are not cross-platform, but available on different platforms. Because the Quest, like you said, that is a mobile device. So me, simple brain, is like, I don't even know how you're able to get a lot of these things over to, I'm picturing very basic caveman, like phone taped to head pretty much, and to be able to get, in my opinion, I think the graphics still look good, especially because Synth Riders is very, I don't want to say it's simple, because that doesn't sound good, but it's easy to get the style of the notes right, at least. But I don't know. I don't even know how you guys do that. So major props to you. That's incredible to have to overcome a whole new system.
Yeah, that's Jan. It's all Jan. He's such a whiz. It's amazing. And we're about to launch on Pico as well. So we're moving to another Snapdragon based headset. But that's really exciting for us. Is it May 11th? A couple of days time.
How's the journey been with developing for Pico? I know that's more of a newer headset, or at least it's not something that's we see quite a bit over here in the US at all.
Yeah. Well, most of the porting's been done for the Pico Neo 2, which was the previous headset. But it's sort of the way it's lined up is the launch will be on the Pico Neo 3. So the Neo 2 is very different to the Neo 3. The Neo 3 is a lot more Quest-like in having the optical tracking, whereas the Neo 2 has got this electromagnetic tracking. It's kind of unusual.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but it handles occlusion very, very differently too. So a different platform, different beast, and it'd be very interesting to see whether the Neo 3 winds up making its way into the US market. And they're not the only game in town. There's lots of very similar Quest-like headsets that are coming out of China at the moment, and China's a really interesting market to watch because, of course, Facebook is not a player in
Mhm.
China. So, and you've got a very large, 1.3 billion people that can't access
Right.
Facebook. There's a real potential there. And
So initially, I was thinking that you would have kind of a PC version and a mobile version that you're managing, but it sounds like you have several versions that you have to keep in mind. Is that correct when you're developing for this?
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
we've just added a new person to our team who's basically going to be heading up porting, because porting is something that is complex, and it can be very difficult if you're developing 3 or 4 new features in parallel while you're also trying to port. And because you have to freeze a code base at a point and start doing the porting, and when you finish doing the porting, you then got to look at the changes. It's quite tricky to try and juggle all those things together for such a small team. So we've managed the PCVR port alongside of the Quest port for a long time. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens as we branch out into Pico. And who knows what's around the corner. We've got PSVR as well, so we're already looking at a minimum of 3 to 4 platforms by the within a few days' time.
Yeah,
that we're
definitely.
running. But yeah, it's tough, and they're all very different, and they all have to be tested.
So this is kind of going off on a different pivot, but I've always been curious. I love asking this question to developers because sometimes you end up discovering really, really cool things that you never fully appreciated. But what do you think is something that's really cool in Synth Riders that you think is important, but nobody really seems to notice?
Oh, that's a hard one.
That's a hard one because, I mean, usually when we hide things, or when we want to people find for stuff within the game, I usually start telling them during a stream or something, like, check it out, this stuff. Like, I can't contain myself.
That's understandable. Well, I know there's a story behind the Synth Riders room, isn't there? Like the one that Wirrel is currently lounging around in. Like, what's the story behind that particular not loading screen, launch screen, beginning screen?
Yeah, home stage, you'll call it.
Home stage. There we go.
Home stage. There you
It's
go.
now a home stage. It used to be the only stage, but of course they got more added with big releases. I don't know. This is home for me. This was the only stage that was there in the beginning, so this is home. But over time, it's had some changes, hasn't it, Aben?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was there ever a kind of a panic moment, I guess, that you had in development? And how did you end up handling it? I love hearing this too, because it's helpful for not necessarily people that are only in developing, but outside as well.
The quest, the first quest release was interesting. Because we were dropping the quality of the game, and for me it was like a shock. Like, oh my god, all the things that I do. We need to take this out. We need to take these other things out. Like, okay, there's not much I can do. But I think we've been actually during the process with the Quest 2, we brought some things that we've had in the PC version because we have more bandwidth to do more stuff. Not bandwidth, graphic processing, which was kind of nice.
I guess on the opposite. Oh, go ahead, Wirrel. I don't know if you had
one of the cool things that a lot of people don't know that we think are really cool. Like the graphics options. Like we hand the players enough graphics options to be able to completely shoot themselves in the foot if they want to. And we trust that players. That's one of the coolest things about the game is I always find that the options. There are so many options. It's not funny.
And we are adding more.
Yeah,
Even more.
We got options.
Yeah.
More options. That's what we need. But I just love the fact that we go, you know what, we've got Quest 1 and we've got Quest 2, and they are quite different platforms. We don't want our Quest 1 players to suffer, and we don't want our Quest 2 players to have to suffer. We don't want the Quest 2 players have to go down to Quest 1 level. We don't want Quest 1 players to have an unsatisfactory experience. So what we do is we say, here are all the options. Let's make it really open. for you to choose what you want. You can sacrifice anti-aliasing for, for Bloom if you want to. You can tweak those advanced graphics options.
Yeah, which is what pretty much like all the games does. Like a desktop game, they give you all the options. So it is up to you. Like if I want reflections, I will keep the reflection, but I will turn off the shadows or something. So
yeah, and being able to give that power to players to choose to set the game up in a way that works for them and the way that they prefer. It's always been a good thing. In terms of things that are cool that people don't sort of really appreciate up front that you think are cool. Like, I remember when I first played this game, it was brutal. It was brutally hard. All right, brutally hard, and to the point that like I watched a number of people rage quit.
Oh no!
Rage quit. Yeah, experienced Beat Saber players would rage quit this game, going, "It's
Oh
too
my
hard."
god!
What was so hard about it? Was it just difficult maps, or
No, it wasn't. The rules were strict, very, very strict, and the requirements for accuracy and were incredibly tough. They were very tough. It didn't take much to fail songs. The songs that are in the OST now, in the Synthwave Essentials pack, which is the very first pack of songs that came out, the expert level maps in there. There were some of them that I couldn't reliably, like, I would fail those maps, and today that would be almost unheard of. And one of the coolest things I think is that the game has learned from that experience and gone, you know what, we need to do this better. And so it's got this balance really quite nice now, where it's really easy to play the game. It's easy and satisfying to play the game, for anyone can walk in and have a good time and not have that rage quit frustration. But for you to actually truly master the game, like to do really, really well, to be one of those top 10, 20 players, even top 50, it takes a lot more practice. So it rewards the hours you put in. Getting that balance to where it is today, I think, is one of the things that most people on the surface, they just walk in and play. They don't understand the pain that the game has been through. And those decisions, they were handled really, really well by Aben and Jan as they started to do this. Yeah.
That's definitely great, because it's nice to be able to have a game that is that's easy to pick up, but difficult to master. It's especially with being able to have something where we're climbing the leaderboards. I've recently got my sister into VR, and so Synth Riders was actually an awesome pickup for her, because it was something that she could, at her very first week or two in virtual reality, she could get into the game and she could pick it up pretty easily. And then we started doing the multiplayer and challenging each other. And it's funny, I actually stepped away from the game for a little bit, and she kept playing, and then we came back to it, and then she was starting to beat my scores, and then it started really going back to head to head. But there's definitely a lot of value in having that easy entry, but difficult to master and work through. So definitely kudos to putting that together.
Yeah, I think it's such a really hard balance on a lot of games. If you don't get that right, that will kill your game straight away. That's the thing I've seen. I've seen lots of other games not get that right, not be responsive. And Aben and Jan from day one was super responsive and super quick. So sometimes you have those panic. You're talking about those panic developer moments where you kind of go, let's run over this way, let's run over this way, let's run over this way. As you sort of do the running, lurching from side to side, trying to find that middle path that's right, and so things can feel like they move. But in the end, I think it's been really positive, and I'm hoping I hope the community agrees.
Yeah,
I hope they do. Yeah.
What's interesting is actually I thought of something that maybe not a lot of people might know is I wouldn't say an official Synth Riders feature, since it's not something in the game, but Wirrel, you actually brought this to my attention. The fact that you guys have a play space rotator when you guys are when you're in the game. I don't have the link offhand, but basically,
it's official.
Like in the settings too.
Yeah, it's not in this. It's not in the settings, but it is part of the game. It's built into the game. You just need to drop the file. The file needs to be there.
Yeah.
It's included.
I don't have the link on hand, but it was a super easy. Basically, you create a bin file in the Synth Rider stock, and then you can tell the camera exactly what degrees to go. So you could have it, you can have it go 180 and then have it go back in a set amount of time. And I love that. I love that so much, especially for those of us who use mixed reality. Even just to be in mixed reality, one angle, that's fine and beautiful. But when you add those customization options to be able to do that, and you're like, wow. And then you're like, I go back to like 12-year-old me who wants to make music videos based on your favorite games to like, I don't know, Down with the Sickness or whatever. It kind of goes back to that where you're like, well, I could really make awesome cinematic things with this. And but yeah, I think that like maybe people who aren't necessarily in like hardcore like Synth Riders Discord or anything might miss out on that, but it is definitely a feature. And I don't know anything about like coding and engineering and stuff, but it's literally just a notepad file, change it to how you want. You just have to know, I guess, degrees and angles. But I love it. Like I'll actually be using it for the giveaway portion of the stream after, and I did some tests with it, and it's smooth and like. And even the first person view that you guys have, so smooth, because I think that's an issue a lot of VR games have is when you're looking from the player perspective, it's kind of like all over the place. But Synth Riders is like butter. It's so smooth. So again, I can really appreciate that you guys have also gone to the the content creator side of things and like, okay, what would people who stream this or make YouTube videos want as a feature? And that's just fantastic. I get really excited about that stuff. I wish more games would do things like that, like you guys.
So you're going to have the Twitch integration turned on?
Yeah, I've got the spinning. Hopefully I didn't do it too quickly. I'm like, all right, I think I can handle this for 3 hours.
You're going to have the Twitch integrations turned on so we can get power ups at you. Because that's a really important thing.
I'm not sure. Can we do that with multiplayer too?
Yes, 100%. It's fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Your chat can absolutely troll you to bits while
I know, that's what worries me.
It's fantastic.
I've tried it because you guys have the Space Invaders one too. And so for those of you guys who don't know, I mean, I'm sure you guys could explain it better too. But yeah, besides even having different camera settings, really smooth settings, you guys have also added the Twitch integration, which allows players to, and you can define this however you want, but they can use bits to have little Space Invader ships that can come. And so not only do you have to do the map, but you also have to dodge lasers coming at you occasionally. They can change the rail colors and just throw you off and really test your memory. So what is the story? How did you guys come up with adding all of those things? Because on one hand, I'm like, wow, these are great. And on the other, I'm like, this is really, that makes it difficult, but it makes it fun for chat. So frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. The love-hate relationship.
I think the inspiration comes from Mario Kart. We wanted to do something like Mario Kart within a rhythm game.
That's so awesome.
And as far as the Twitch side of it came from, we've had, if you ever use the room, there's a noodle box sitting on the bed. There's actually Chinese noodles. I can't see it from here.
Yeah.
Shot. So there's a little box of Chinese noodles. Now that's actually where the modding interface used to be, because when the Synth Riders first launched, it had modding support directly. Like you didn't have to touch the game if you wanted a mod, no problem. And the interface was well defined, and it will come back, please. It has to come back. The noodle box on the bed, you could click on the noodle box and it would pop up a window, and it would just have all your mods listed that you wanted to enable and disable, and you could do it from there. So modding was a thing. So Twitch integration was initially done as a mod. But at one point, modding had to be disabled for performance reasons. It was causing huge problems with the way the game was running. So Twitch integration, everyone went, well, you can't have the players not have Twitch integration. We need this stuff. So basically, the person who did that was grabbed, and they wrote it for the official game. So that's how it went. So it's just the case. We've got to turn off modding. Well, we'll just pull the Twitch integration into the game. Job done. And so now you stick your channel name in the settings. You stick your channel name in you don't even have to define bots anymore. You can have your own if you want to. But to stick your channel name in the integration, and the Synth Riders bot will magically appear in your chat. They'll join in, and you'll have your request bot. You'll have your bits. You'll have all of the power-ups that you can use. Twitch integration has a couple that you don't have in power-up, because you can speed up and slow down the song. They're my favorites. And yeah, they're great. So you can have them based on bits, and channel point mode is the latest update to that as well. So you can use channel points with the built-in Twitch integration too. So yeah, it's always good. It's always good to there's support for Twitch streamers, I think.
And that's super awesome, and it's really nice the fact that the first time we were streaming it, I didn't even actually realize. I didn't notice it until we were testing it out, and then saw that little pop up in our chat, which gave us the information. It says if you want to set up the Twitch integration, just click this link. Here's the document, and here's everything you need to know. So it was really simple, easy integration to be able to kind of get started with it, and a lot of good control on it as well, to be able to turn things on or off kind of as much as we needed. But that was really cool the way that was implemented.
Yeah, that's Max. That's all Max. It really does help having people who stream being part of your team. So we've got at least, I want to say at least 3, 4, 5 people who have Twitch streams that are part of the team. Like a lot of our mappers.
Oh wow!
Awesome. Stream. But also in the dev side, there's at least 3 who are regular streamers. So they bring that understanding of, what does it mean to be a streamer, and how can they make it easy for other people? So yeah.
Yeah.
I see X-Ray is talking about revenge time. That is a bit of a running joke. When we were first testing a lot of the power up stuff, I had voice control over power ups, and basically when X-Ray was helping me test on the Quest, I would say it's time for revenge time, and that would launch every single power up at him at one time.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
There's a tweet somewhere which has got me going, "It's okay, it won't hurt you. It'll be fine.
This is fine.
It's fine. You'll be fine. It won't hurt." And it's just, oh no, it's so good. So yeah, revenge time has become a thing. So yes, I have voice attack on my stream, and I can say it's revenge time, and then every power up will come and hit me at once.
Wow.
Because they stack. They all stack.
Oh no. But yeah, I can definitely appreciate too the ease of being able to have those kind of integrations. Then you don't have to worry about downloading a third-party thing and then having it break when things update. Game that shall not be mentioned. But having something in game, in platform like that is so key. It just makes it nice and easy. You don't have to dig around for multiple files somewhere. So I love that. I will be honest in that sometimes it depends on my mood. Like if I'm like, I just want to dance good today, then I may not have them on, because I'm like, I know as soon as somebody hits the multicolor power up, I'm gonna lose it, because I have no idea. I have no idea what's coming.
That one's a challenge. Really cool. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one? Prismatic, the rainbow.
Yeah,
one?
Prismatic.
Right.
That's the one. That one gets me every time, and I'm like, well, guess that's it for this song. I mean, sometimes I can hold it if I'm lucky, but.
But remember, you can always run with no fail. If you run with no fail turned on, there's no penalty to running no fail anymore. That was one of the most recent changes that came in. So it behaves a bit like Beat Saber, the old bailout mod. So you only actually fail the song when you fail it. You'll only get the 50% score penalty now when you actually fail the song. So there's pretty much, if you're a streamer, just stick that no fail on.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. I guess I'm just like, no, I've got to get good and have, I don't know, but yeah, that's I didn't know that. Fun fact.
Yeah, so you could do that if you particularly want to dance to a song. I run with voice attack. I have turn it on and off, because you can actually turn it off with one command. So you can easily just say, no, turn off. I have a command called turn off trolls. So I just say turn off trolls. And that way, if it's a song that I want, and I can do that at any time, like whether I'm playing a song or not, so I can just say turn off trolls, and that will instantly remove everybody's ability to hassle me during a song that I want, and then I can turn it on again when I'm finished.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it's a good fun thing, because you've got to have that little balance between chat really wanting to player versus chat, which is often fun. They do like to try and kill you, so sometimes it's nice to run with no fail. But it's
always
one of those things. Yeah,
they just want to see you fail. They want to be the cause of your downfall.
They do.
That's Twitch stream in a nutshell. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Fun interaction there. I do want to step back for on a question Gruntled asked a little while ago. I just wanted to make sure we catch this, but Gruntled asked, will Pico be able to use custom content?
I can't remember the answer to that question. I'm not sure. Do you remember, Aben? I'm not sure.
I think so. I think so.
I had a
think
feeling the answer was yes. And Pico is really interesting because it comes out of the box with streaming, SteamVR streaming.
Okay.
Yep. Out of the box. So you just, yep, it works quite well. You just, the headset just talks straight away to SteamVR. They've got their own native streaming client, and away it goes. It's an interesting platform. I don't know that they have any intention of releasing anything in the US, but I suspect there would be a hungry market for it if they did. Yeah,
I think anything that we can get some competition or variety would be awesome. As far as
yeah, and it's just a different ecosystem, but yeah, very interesting indeed. But yeah, I think I have a feeling the answer is yes when it comes to customers.
Okay.
I have a feeling the answer is yes.
Speaking of Q&As, I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of them, but I'll get out of your hair by asking you a couple last questions. I know that especially Bo had one for you guys, but if obviously you don't want to give too much away, but is there anything you can tease about the future of anything that's in store for Synth Riders? Obviously, we know you guys want to do more of the experience things, but what are kind of your goals down the road, whether that's a year from now, 5 years from now, etc.?
Surprise.
That's a fair answer.
We've been talking to a few people about a few different things, and one of the people we've been talking to, I've got a real interest in physical activity and therapy. So my background has always been working with older adults and doing rehabilitation exercise and things like that. So we have been talking to someone who makes headsets for physiotherapists, like what's the other name for them? We just call them physiotherapists, a physical therapist, I think they're called in the US.
Oh, okay.
People who work in rehabilitation when you have an injury and they're rehabbing you after having an accident. And we've been talking to someone who sells headsets into that space. So they set them up, they have their own software, and we've been talking about whether we can skin our game and make our game accessible for that particular use. And we are talking about doing an accessibility focused release because we've got a few things that we want to cross off the long-awaited seated mode alongside of facility for people who have color blindness, and being able to set better profiles for visual accessibility as well. So we're trying to put together a group of things around that to make the player have more control over how the game behaves and make it more accessible to more people. So that's one of the things that we are definitely looking at, is that health and well-being side of things and the accessibility side of things together. So yeah, I'm actively looking for people to help with that. So if you know any gamers with a disability or a long-term injury that affects their ability to play the game, I'm looking for people to help us put that together and spec that. It's going to be coming forward. So
that's really great. What's the best way to have them reach out to you for that?
I'm everywhere. I'm like a gas. I'm everywhere. Just find me anywhere. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I'm there. Discord, email, wirrel@klugeinteractive.com. Whatever you like. I'm getting together a list of people to be involved in a test group for that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we do have coming up, that probably is the very recent thing that everybody knows is coming, is Oculus Avatars are coming too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw that.
Yeah, so Oculus Avatars, and I will be looking for some Quest people to come and help us put that through its final paces. So if anyone out there is a Quest 1 or a Quest 2 player with your Facebook linked accounts, reach out, let me know that you'd be keen. I'm looking to get like 20, 30, 40 people together to be involved in testing for that. So they're probably a couple of the things that are happening very soon. The Oculus Avatars is very close being done. That will mostly be multiplayer lobbies is where we'll see those. But yeah, I'm keen to get people, because you can imagine on a Quest 1 with 10 people standing around. There's lots of testing that needs to be involved there.
Right.
So we'd love to
definitely.
get hands on that one. It's something we want to do some community testing for. So yeah, that's just a couple of things. And music and experiences, etc., etc.
Definitely.
I'd expect no less.
Why do one thing when you can do 10? Yeah.
Right. So here in just a minute, I do want to at least extend the offer out to any of the viewers right now. If you have any questions for Aben or Wirrel, please definitely put them in chat, and we'll definitely ask them so we can get your involvement on anything that you might want to know with Synth Riders or what's going on that side as well. But before we jump in, I do want to at least mention here that we will be continuing this SynthStravaganza event on shortly at 8 o'clock here at 6 p.m. Pacific. We will be raiding over to AtomBombBody's channel, where we will be continuing with a giveaway. It's going to be an option for being able to, there's plenty of opportunities to win either a Steam key, an Oculus key, and even if you already have the game, there's a couple of songs from the Electro Swing Pack that you can possibly win there as well. But just wanted to at least pop that in there.
Yep, we're planning on doing 2 keys every half an hour, just so it doesn't end up being like a 10-hour long stream. I mean, I love Synth Riders, but I also am not as physically fit as I once was. So I do have limits, but yeah, it just if you do win, you'll just have to let us know, what platform you prefer your key on as well. So that's gonna be super exciting.
All right, so Wirrel, Egg Fried Cheese has a question for you and wants to know, when is the next update to the squirrel feeder? What's the squirrel feeder?
Oh, but it's because my profile pic everywhere is the coffee squirrel, and so next upgrade to the squirrel feeder. We don't have squirrels where I live, unfortunately. There's no squirrels in Australia apart from Perth. They do exist in Perth. They escaped from a zoo. And they're the Indonesian palm squirrel. They're like tiny, very tiny little things that look more like a chipmunk. But no, they did try and introduce squirrels to Australia, grey squirrels, and they didn't survive. The closest,
oh no.
Yeah, no. The closest we have would be rabbits survived, deer survived, but grey squirrels did not survive. That's okay. I live vicariously through everybody else. Please send me your squirrel pics. It's perfect. So I can have Danny's. Yeah. I have a bird bath. That's my thing. I have a bird bath outside. So I can't upgrade a squirrel feeder because there's no squirrels at my current one. That's the problem.
Aw.
I feel like you have enough crazy animals in Australia as it is. I feel like you don't need squirrels. You've got more exciting things there.
It's funny. I say to people, the equivalent that we have, sugar gliders. A lot of people have sugar gliders. They're Australian, so we have them here, but not where I live. But they're a species we have here. The closest squirrel equivalent that we have is a possum, a ringtail possum or a brush-tail possum. Now, they don't look anything like the opossum that you're thinking of. They don't look anything like that. But I suggest if you look up Australian possums, they look a lot cuter, and they're nocturnal. They're fluffy. The brush-tails, the ringtails have like a little black tail with a curl.
Oh,
They're so cute. But a lot of people don't like them because they eat fruit and they run across your roof in the middle of the night and make lots of noise. But, yeah.
Oh no.
I see some love for sugar gliders. Yes, sugar gliders. We can keep the huntsman. That's fine. Big spiders? What's wrong with big spiders? I like spiders. I have 2 of them in the house at the moment.
2 spiders in the house?
I name them. They have names.
like pets, or they just hang out there and take residence but don't pay rent.
That's right. And when they get a bit active, they go outside. I take them outside when they get a bit jumpy, a bit running around. Other people would set fire to the house, I know, but that's fine. We live with them. They keep the mosquitoes away. They're good.
That's always good.
And I try to remember that. It's like, we do like spiders, even though, I'm not arachnophobia or anything, but I try to remember, like, they do serve a purpose of getting rid of other bugs that I may not like.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine the amount of pesticide we'd have to use if all the spiders stopped eating insects in the biggest form. So, spiders are your friends. Be kind to them. Relocate them gently. That's the way to do it.
Audie's still definitely not a fan of spiders. She's the first to run when those come up. So
that's okay. I did see someone Gruntled was asking the question about custom songs on PSVR. I think the answer to that question will be no. That there's no easy way to get content onto your PSVR, onto your PlayStation. So I'd say that would be the same as Beat Saber. I don't believe there'll be custom content for PSVR. That has been another educational process, like looking at how you get onto the PSVR. How do you get onto the PlayStation Store? You realize how open and just kind of almost Wild Westy that the Steam platform and Oculus platforms are compared to something like Sony's PlayStation Store. Like, that is so strict. It's like amazing. It's like going from the Wild West to, to something just really like has to be like this. So yeah, it's been educational as well. Yeah. So
X-Ray's got a question for Aben. Since the algorithm experience was the first experience, what visuals / features did you have to figure out to make it what it is now?
I don't know. I mean, that one specifically was from the aesthetic perspective it wasn't too complex because the reference that we picked from the band, they use very minimalistic and low poly stuff that was easy to translate to the experience.
So it was just easier assets to work with, and that's why it was easier to put together from the band. Okay. Egg Fried Cheese asked, when are avatars in the multiplayer lobbies going to face the right way?
Right way.
That's coming. We're redesigning the whole multiplayer experience.
Wow, okay.
I have wondered about that. Like, what is everybody looking at over there? What?
Every time I got into it, I was always wondering if somebody else was just spinning around in other directions, and I'm like, how did you get stuck facing the other side of the wall? But okay.
Yeah, it's all to do with where the control panel is. So to be able to have a room where and it's sort of because the Oculus Avatars has given us that little nudge to just change the way things work. Because of course Oculus Avatars are only on the Oculus platform, and we want to bring something that's also helpful for our SteamVR, PCVR players. It's really important to us to make sure that when we bring features that affect one platform, it has an implication for other platforms, and we try and make things as cross-platform as possible, because we think that's really, really, really important. We know that the bulk of our content creators are on PCVR, and there's no danger anytime soon of us not supporting PCVR and not paying attention to PCVR and not treating the platform as important. So, the idea of when you put your hands up, that the hands go down, all of that sort of stuff should be fixed. That's coming, definitely coming, which would be good.
O'Neill asked if there's going to be a Latin music pack.
We've been thinking of that, but we don't know yet.
You know what? I reckon there will be. Just to give you an idea, Kluge recently. So Kluge is split. I did say before that Kluge is like a much larger company, and there's like a product side, which is mostly Synth Riders, and then there's the services side, which do websites and things. So Kluge has made it a thing. Every person in the company now has a VR headset. So a lot of these people have never had VR headset. Everybody has a VR headset. And I don't know if you know, but we actually have a very large Spanish-speaking group of people in our workforce. So there's lots of people at Kluge who've just got a VR headset that are just playing Synth Riders for the first time. And I was talking to one of the product team, who's one of the people who works coding websites. He's like, I need to learn how to use the song editor because there's not enough Latin music in the game, and I want to make maps. So I think Aben's about to get a lot of pressure from the other side of the business.
You can see that coming, yeah.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, Gabriel's like, I need Latin music. I need it now.
Jack Diddley also asked about a reggae pack. So it sounds like there's definitely quite a bit of demand for more variety in the music as well.
I'm not sure about the reggae. I mean, I love reggae, but I'm not sure if it's active enough. But I would love to do like a reggae experience for sure.
Yeah,
that's true. Because the rhythm's usually a little more laid back on that. So you'd be like, I don't know. That's my good impersonation of reggae music. A+. But yeah, are the types of music too? Just a random question. Like how hard do you try to stick to the Synth Riders theme? Because like an electro swing to me kind of came out of nowhere, but it still seemed to fit the Synth Riders aesthetic and the feel for it. So how important is the genre of music consideration to when you're actually trying to implement that sort of style?
Well, just look at Offspring.
Yeah. But it still fits.
It still fits. Kind of funny, and I think a lot of that is to do with Aben and the music selection team. So there is actually a lot of fighting that goes on over music packs. It's like, I like this song. Nah. I don't like that song. So there's a lot of that goes on. But you've got a group of people who really care about music, and I think that's what you hear when we think about the Synth Riders aesthetic. What you're actually hearing is, Aben's ability to pick out what is a good song, what works for the game, and what is a good song, and you combine that with Arturo and his love of music, and you combine that with the OST team and their love of music. Like that's what everyone has in common, and we'll often be passing playlists around in the team, saying, have a listen to this. What stands out for you as being something that would work in the game? And something that we've done fairly recently too is we've really made our music licensing group, the people who are actually going out and getting the songs and talking to the labels, we've brought them into the mapping team. So they participate with the mapping team, and we talk. They actually talk together and bounce songs back and forth and say, this artist is doing this and this. This artist has got a new album coming out. Let's have a listen to this. What do you think? And we sort of throw those all back and forth. So we've put the two groups together more recently, and that's been really helpful. So there's no point in looking for songs that are 7-minute prog rock songs from the 1970s, because the mapping challenge, they're things that have lots of BPM drift and lots of tempo changes, because the mapping team are just going to go, no, that's really, really impossible. Like, don't ask us to map this. Or picking songs that are too samey all the way through. The mapping team are going to go, you've given me nothing to work with. Yeah, the song's got to have something in it to work with. So putting all those things together helps us select those things. And I think that's probably what you hear more than anything else, is you hear songs that have been selected because they offer something for the map to sit on. And maps have the ability to change your opinion about music. They really do. They're quite strong. So physically experiencing the song can change your opinion of the song.
Yeah, absolutely. I can even say that from my personal experience, just noticing how, especially discovering a lot of new music through virtual reality, through games, just like Synth Riders, like any of the custom maps, or even some of these new ones where I may have heard it or maybe didn't hear it, haven't really listened to it before. But when you are experiencing it in VR, you're living that song, and it definitely affects your how much you start jamming out to it. So
yeah, and from the aesthetic perspective, because you mentioned the electro swing pack, something that we did that I think was quite nice. We picked the steampunk aesthetic, which matched pretty well with electro swing. We started in the 1920s. So steampunk has a little bit of that, and that was a perfect match for the electro swing pack.
Yeah, I love the tie-ins, because I don't know, I feel confident in what we've seen so far, that even if you guys went, I don't know, what's a total direction opposite of what most people think of synthwaves, I think that you guys will find a way to somehow tie it back to the aesthetics and the themes and the core of Synth Riders, and that's really impressive. I mean, Muse, I can see that one fitting, but even like The Offspring, it all just fits. There's no pack where I'm like, that doesn't belong here, you know what I mean? And I think that's something that's hard to do, so I can really appreciate that from you guys.
O'Neill
Yeah, it's a process. It takes time.
O'Neill suggests that you can't do death metal. I think the implication is, Aben, if you had to do death metal, I think O'Neill is underestimating your ability. Death metal for me is like giant killer robots, and I think giant killer robots, dystopia, it fits perfectly for me.
Totally. We can do that.
Give us something hard to do, man.
We will always find a connection with something.
Classical's easy, no problem. Easy. Yeah, we always find a way. It's a very creative, very, very creative team. It's one of the best things about being able to work with people like Aben and Luis and Carlos and Esteban, our design team. They are so incredibly creative, and they just come up with stuff that makes you just go wow all the time. You just go wow, and I love it. Like I feel like I'm the luckiest person in a lot of ways. I get to hang out with incredibly creative people that just make me go wow all the time. It's like unwrapping Christmas presents. Yes, Owen Wilson, wow.
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 There's one more question here in chat from X-Ray that says, nice little unknown thing, but what's the current story of the Synth Riders universe?
We've had part of the story with when we released the game, but we're taking it beyond a little bit with the campaign mode that we're building.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
Yep.
The wheels are spinning. I'm like, I know you guys can't say much, but just that thought alone is so exciting.
Right.
Yeah, because we've always there's certain elements in it that were like, okay, what's the backstory behind, like, I forget if the head that you see in the maps, like, that kind of follows you around based on the direction, if like that's got a lore to it. Like, I love those little things. Yeah. So that's super exciting.
The heads definitely do. One in particular is Andromeda. Andromeda is our robot overlord. All praise to her. The community love, well, parts of the community in particular love Andromeda. That's why I'm her chief acolyte. I'm actually wearing her shirt today in her praise. If you play the Andromeda stage, the giant robot head that follows you, I can remember the first time that head followed me when I saw it, and I was like, because originally it didn't, and the head followed me, and I was like, oh, that's amazing, that's so good, and I spoke to the head and said, what do you think, head? And it was really good, and I made the head nod, and I was like, yes, approval. I have approval. So yeah, that's right. Andromeda is amazing. Yeah, she's part of the lore, and community definitely adopted her in a lot of ways as being our robot overlord. I'd be interested to know what you think the lore would be. What do you think a Synth Riders universe looks like?
I feel like again, this is just like my opinion out of probably many that are out there, but you're kind of like the hero in the center of the universe. So you're on, floating platform trying to get from point A to point B, and the only way to do that is through music, man. But you do feel,
you're totally
because of how the maps are, you feel kind of like a Silver Surfer hero effect to it, where it's like, you have to go. You're not really moving anywhere, but because your environments are so they're not static, you really feel like you're going through space to a destination. That's to the the end of the song, but it really does make you feel powerful, especially if you beat, like, when you beat your first song on Master and you're like, yeah, I traveled this distance and I made it to the end. Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
But that's just me.
I agree with you.
I think it was great. Yeah.
What about you, Bo? What do you think? What would a Synth Riders world be for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question, because it's just anything to transport to a new world. It's kind of taking jumping into a new space, something that is I don't know. It's like experiencing the music in a completely different way. So it's I think the Synth Riders world to me is the transition from this physical space that we live in right here, that we exist in, or that we know that we exist in, but jumping into this auditory or audible experience that really blankets all over all of us. I know that's very philosophical and very vague along those lines, but it's a very transcending kind of experience, and that's what's really kind of sucked me in, especially with VR and how experiences like these have really brought me in.
I guess yes too, because a lot of them, like for The Offspring, I would listen to The Offspring a lot. So then to be able to be transformed into a world where you can play, it's even hard to describe, you can gain a more closeness to the music because you actually get to experience it in a different way versus having like your headphones in, walking down the street, whatever. You get to get, the full effect of it in a way that you hadn't before. And that's really interesting. I mean, even with, I didn't realize electro swing was really a thing until I played Synth Riders, and then I fell in love with it. And now I'm obsessed with it. And it's just electro swing everything. And I don't know, it's really cool. What you guys have done is amazing.
Before, if you wanted to play music, it was you could listen to music, but if you wanted to play music, it was okay. We'll pick up an instrument and learn how to play that. But now you actually are in the music and experience it in a different way, and that's just something so cool. Wirrel, I'm sorry, you had something.
It's visceral. I describe it as a visceral experience. So one of my favorite things, like I'm talking about other games, I play Audio Shield. I'm probably one of the only people left in the universe who plays Audio Shield. But one of the most special things in Audio Shield is having a band that you like release a new album, and you reserve your first listen for in VR. Just drop the MP3s in, and just go. Just go. And I've done that several times, and it is just highly recommend this ability to have a visceral experience for your first listening experience. It adds a whole new dimension.
Definitely.
So there's definitely things to be said, and it changes your perception. Being able to feel the music, sometimes you can pick up things that you didn't have any other way, and you do get exposed to different genres and different musics, and I think it makes you more receptive to music.
Yeah, not only that, that is a good exercise, and usually, and this when I start listening like a new album, usually you speak some songs that you feel like you don't like, but if you do that process that you just mentioned, you have no choice. You have to play it, and that will give you like a different perspective from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to just skip a song, but if you're playing a song, you're in it, and it's
yes,
you're gonna play through it. Yeah. There's an end to go to. There's a score that comes tied with it. So
right.
Well, Aben, Wirrel, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to keep going, but we are going to quickly come up on our time, and we have got it still continues, and we've got an exciting event over on AtomBombBody's channel. We're going to raid over there shortly, but I wanted to give one last moment to both of you. If there's any additional promotion or any additional things, can you tell us where everybody can find you, or anything you'd like to leave us with?
Aben, anything?
I think through the website or the Discord, it's where we are more active.
Discord, just discord.synthridersvr.com is the Discord. www.synthridersvr.com is the website. There is an official Synth Riders Facebook group too. If you're a Quest player and you do the Facebook thing, you'll find us there as well. But yeah, just whichever community you want to interact with, just get involved in your community and play. Get those multiplayer events. Remember, we do the official multiplayer events. Those are amazing. Speaking of community, I want to thank my community. You're awesome. The community events don't run without community. We have amazing volunteers who every weekend they put their hand up and run rooms. And they play OST only. They welcome everybody. They're so amazing. They've really taken on the spirit of what Synth Riders means. and
Yeah.
share that spirit of let's come together, let's have some fun, let's play some music together and interact. They've really just, shared that together. So
Awesome.
big kisses for you. I love you guys. You're amazing. Every weekend you do it. It's so good.